A man once offered a woman water in the desert and was later told he had committed a crime that could cost him everything. No one in New Mexico territory could agree on what truly happened that day. Some said she was a thief. Some said she was trouble. But the man who found her never explained why he chose her over his own past. And that is where this story begins. The first thing Elias Carter saw was not the girl. It was the vultures. 3 of them circled low, cutting slow black arcs against the pale sky. He pulled his horse to a stop. The land stretched wide and empty, broken only by stone ridges and dry brush. Nothing lived out here unless it fought for it. The birds dipped lower. Elias narrowed his eyes and nudged his buckskin forward. When he reached the ravine, he saw her. A body curled against the cracked earth, half shadowed by a dead mesquite tree. Not moving, not breathing, or so it seemed. He slid down from the saddle without a word. His boots crunched softly as he approached. The girl looked small, too small for a place like this. Her dress was torn. Dust clung to her skin. Her lips were split, dark with dryness. He crouched and pressed 2 fingers against her neck. A faint pulse tapped against his hand. Alive. Barely. Elias glanced once at the sky. The vultures shifted, waiting. Then, he reached for his canteen. A few drops touched her lips. She stirred. A weak breath escaped her throat. That was enough. He lifted her without hesitation. She weighed almost nothing. As he placed her across the saddle, her hand slipped against his coat, gripping for a second, then falling still again. Elias mounted behind her and turned east. He did not ask who she was. Out here, that question came later, if it came at all. The cabin stood alone at the edge of a dry creek. No fence. No neighbors. No sign of welcome. Just a square structure of rough timber and stone, holding its ground against the endless wind. Inside, the air was cold and still. Elias laid the girl on his cot. He poured water into a tin cup and left it within reach. Then he stepped back. He did not hover, did not speak. He simply watched long enough to be sure she would not die within the hour. After that, he turned away. Outside, the evening stretched quiet and empty. When the girl woke, the light had already faded. Her eyes opened slowly. The ceiling above her was rough wood. The smell in the air was different. Not dust, not fear. Something faint, like old smoke and pine. She pushed herself up. Pain moved through her arms, her legs, her chest. But she was alive. That alone felt strange. Her gaze moved across the room. A table, a chair, a cold fireplace. Nothing more than what a man needed to stay breathing. No softness, no signs of comfort. She reached for the cup beside her. Water, cool, real. She drank too fast and coughed, gripping the edge of the cot until the room steadied. Then she heard it. Footsteps outside. Slow, heavy, certain. The door opened. The man stepped in, tall, broad shoulders. Dust still clinging to his coat. His face held no greeting, no question, just quiet observation. She pulled the blanket closer around herself without thinking. Her eyes searched his, trying to measure him. Danger, safety, something in between. He moved past her without a word, set his hat on a peg, poured himself water, drank. The silence stretched between them, thick, uncomfortable. Finally she spoke. "Sir." Her voice cracked. He did not turn. "You found me." A pause, then a short answer. "Yeah." That was all. She swallowed. Her hands tightened in the blanket. "I won't be trouble." He looked at her then. Really looked. His eyes were pale, steady, not soft, not cruel, just distant. "You ain't strong enough to be trouble," he said. No insult in it, just fact. She nodded slowly. That made sense. He moved to the fireplace and knelt, striking flint to coax life into the embers. The faint glow grew. Light filled the room in slow pulses. She watched him work. Every movement simple, efficient. A man used to doing everything alone. Her gaze drifted to the shelves. Flour, beans, salt meat, enough to survive, nothing more. Her stomach tightened. She swung her legs off the cot. The floor felt cold beneath her feet. He noticed. Sit back down. I can stand, you can fall. She stayed where she was, not out of obedience, out of calculation. Then she said it. Soft, careful. I can cook. The words hung in the air. He didn't respond. She pushed forward. I ain't white, sir. Her fingers tightened at the edge of the table. But I can cook. Silence again. The fire cracked. Outside, the wind moved through dry grass. Elias stood slowly, turned to face her fully. For a long moment, he said nothing. His eyes moved over her face, not stopping at her skin, not judging, just seeing. Then he walked to the table, pulled out a chair, sat down. A quiet signal, not permission, not rejection, something in between. She understood. Slowly, carefully, she moved toward the shelves. Her hands found the flour, the beans, the pan, each motion steadier than the last. The room began to change, not in shape, but in feeling. The fire grew warmer. The air shifted. A faint scent rose as the pan heated. Elias didn't speak, but he didn't leave either. He stayed, watching, waiting, as if something unfamiliar had just entered his world, and he wasn't sure yet whether to let it stay. The first man to notice the change was not Elias. It was the wind. For years it had passed through the cabin without resistance. Cold in the mornings, hollow at night. Now it carried something else. A smell. Warm, sharp, alive. Beans simmered low in the pot. A thin trail of spice curled into the air. Lucia stood by the fire, one hand steady on the wooden spoon. Her movements were slow, careful. Every motion measured. Not from weakness, from awareness. Behind her, Elias sat at the table. He had not spoken since she began, had not moved, but he had not left. That mattered. The first bite changed something. He did not show it, did not nod, did not speak, but his hand paused midair. Just for a second. Then, he kept eating. That was enough. Lucia looked away quickly. Her breath moved out of her chest in a quiet release. That night passed without words. Morning came the same way. Quiet. Pale light through the cracks in the wall. Lucia was awake before him. She stepped outside. The land stretched wide and empty. Dry creek. Broken ground. Wind cutting low across the earth. Nothing welcoming. Nothing forgiving. But it was not the road. And that made it better. She found a bucket near the wall, walked to the shallow well behind the cabin, drew water slowly. Her arms trembled with the effort. But she did not stop. By the time Elias stepped out, the fire was already lit. The pan was warm. The room carried that same unfamiliar scent again. He stood in the doorway for a moment, watching. Then he stepped in. Days passed like that. No questions. No past. Just work. She swept the floor. Mended a torn sleeve she found folded near the bed. Scrubbed the cooking pots until they caught light. Each small thing placed carefully back where it belonged. Elias said little, but he stopped moving things after her. Stopped resetting the space to what it had been. The cabin began to hold both of them, not comfortably, but fully. On the fourth day he spoke first. Water runs low by noon. She nodded. I'll draw early. He watched her for a second. Then looked away. That was how it worked. Small words, heavy meaning. That evening clouds gathered low on the horizon, dark, thick, moving fast. The air shifted. Dry heat turned sharp. Elias stepped outside and looked up. His jaw tightened. Storm. Lucia followed him to the door. The sky rolled heavy above them. Wind pushed hard across the land. Not gentle. Not slow. A storm that didn't ask permission. He moved fast. Shutter the window. She didn't hesitate. Crossed the room. Pulled the rough wood panel across the opening. Wind slammed against it. The cabin groaned. Elias dragged a heavy canvas from the wall. Help me. They stepped onto the porch together. The first hit of wind nearly pushed her back. Her dress snapped hard against her legs. Hair whipped across her face. He grabbed one side of the canvas. She took the other. Pull tight. The wind fought them. Hard. Like it wanted the house open. She leaned her weight into it, feet sliding against the wood. For a second, her footing slipped. Her body tilted sideways. The ground rushed up. But his hand caught her. Firm. Fast. Not rough, not grabbing, just stopping her fall. Her breath caught. The storm roared around them. But that touch, it cut through everything. His hand stayed on her arm. Steady. Warm. She looked up. Their eyes met. No words. Just the sound of wind tearing at the world. Then he let go. Turned back to the canvas. Finished tying it down. Inside, the storm felt closer, louder. Rain struck the roof in heavy bursts. The fire struggled, flickered, but held. Luzia stood near the table, her hand still resting where he had touched her. She didn't move it, didn't understand it, didn't try to. Elias stood near the door, back turned, shoulders stiff. Something had shifted. Both of them knew it. Neither spoke. Night came heavy. The storm passed slow, leaving the air colder than before. By morning, the land had changed. The dry creek held a thin line of water. Mud clung to the ground. Tracks showed clear in the earth. Too clear. Elias saw them first. Horse tracks. Fresh. Not his. He crouched low, ran his fingers along the imprint. More than one rider, heading toward the cabin. Luzia stepped out behind him. Her breath slowed. Her eyes followed his. She had seen tracks like that before. They did not bring anything good. Elias stood. His gaze moved to the horizon. A faint line of dust rose in the distance. Coming closer, he turned toward her. Inside. She didn't argue. Moved quickly. The cabin felt smaller now. Not safe. Just enclosed. She stood near the table. Hands still. Waiting. Outside, the sound came next. Hooves. Slow. Confident. 3 riders pulled up in front of the cabin. Their horses shifted in the mud. One man swung down. Tall. Heavy build. Eyes already scanning. Elias stepped out to meet them. Door closing behind him. Luzia moved closer to the wall, listening. The man outside spoke first. Voice rough. "We're looking for water," Elias answered. "You found it." A pause. Boots moved across the dirt. Another voice. "Word is, you're not alone out here." Silence. Heavy. Luzia's fingers tightened at her sides. Outside, something changed in the air. Not loud, not sudden, but sharp, like a line being drawn. Elias spoke again. "Lower now, that ain't your concern." A short laugh. Dry, cruel. "Everything's our concern when it's on this land." Luzia stepped back, heart pounding steady. Not fast, not wild, just ready. Her eyes moved across the room. Knife. Still where she left it, near the shelf. She took one slow step toward it. Outside, boots shifted again. Then came the words. Soft, clear, carried through the wood like they belonged inside. "We'll see for ourselves." The door handle moved. The door opened before the man could touch it. Elias stepped inside first. He did not look back at them. He stood between the doorway and the room, a wall made of flesh and bone. The 3 men followed anyway, boots thudding against the wooden floor, mud trailing in behind them. Luzia stood near the shelf, her hand already resting on the knife. She did not hide it, did not lower her gaze. The tallest man smiled. Slow, crooked. His eyes moved over her like he was measuring something. Not seeing, just taking. "Well now," he said. "Didn't expect that." No one answered. The room held still. Fire crackled low. Wind pressed faint against the walls. The man took a step closer. Elias shifted slightly, not blocking fully. But enough. A warning. The second man laughed under his breath. "Out here all alone," he said. "Strange kind of company you keep." Luzia felt the words hit. Not new, never new, but sharper here, inside this place. Elias didn't raise his voice. "Take your water and go." The tall man ignored him. His eyes stayed on Lucia. "Girl," he said, "where you from?" Silence. Her grip on the knife tightened. He took another step, boots scraping the floor. "Cat got your tongue?" Elias moved then, one step forward, now fully between them. "She don't answer to you." The third man shifted near the door, blocking the exit without thinking. The air changed. Tight. Crowded. The tall man's smile faded. "You telling me what I can ask?" Elias didn't blink. Yeah, a long pause. The kind that builds something, not breaks it. The tall man let out a short breath. Then his hand moved. Not fast, not slow, just enough. Reaching past Elias, toward Lucia, that was it. Elias's arm snapped out, catching the wrist midair. Grip hard, unmovable. The man froze, eyes narrowing, let go. Elias didn't. For a second, no one moved. Then the man jerked his arm back, hard. Elias released it, but didn't step away. The second man shifted his coat, hand dipping lower. Toward his side. Lucia saw it, felt it before it happened. Her fingers tightened around the knife. The room felt smaller, like it was closing in. Elias spoke, quiet, but cutting. "Don't." One word, enough. The second man paused. His eyes flicked to Elias's face. Something there made him stop. Not fear. Recognition. The tall man rubbed his wrist. His smile gone now. "Didn't mean no harm," he said. But his tone carried something else. Elias didn't answer. Just stood. Unmoving. The silence stretched again. Longer this time. Heavier. Then the tall man turned, spat on the floor. "Come on," he muttered. The other two hesitated. Then followed, boots thudding back toward the door. The third man gave Lucia one last look. Cold. Sharp. Then stepped outside. The door closed. The sound echoed through the cabin. For a long moment neither of them moved. The fire cracked again. Soft, almost normal. Lucia's hand trembled. Just once. Then stilled. She set the knife down slowly. Elias exhaled. Not loud, but deep, like something had passed through him. He moved to the door, opened it slightly, watched until the riders disappeared into the distance. Only then did he close it fully. Turn back. His eyes found hers. Different now. Not distant. Not guarded. Something clearer. He walked toward her. Slow, careful, as if the ground between them mattered. She didn't step back. Didn't look away. He stopped just short of her, close enough to feel the warmth of her breath. For a second he said nothing. Then, "She ain't your concern." He repeated his own words, but softer now. Not for them. For her. A pause. Then he added, "You are." The room went still again. But not like before. This was something else. Lucia swallowed. Her voice came low. "You don't even know me." "I know enough." His answer came without hesitation. She searched his face, looking for doubt, for distance, for anything that would break the moment. There was none, only certainty, raw, unpolished, real. Her hands moved slightly at her sides, not reaching, not retreating, just there, between holding on and letting go. "I ain't white," she said again, quieter now. Not a warning, not a defense, just truth. Elias nodded once. "I see you, not her skin, not her past, her." The words settled in the space between them, heavy, unavoidable. She let out a slow breath. Something inside her loosened, not fear, not yet, but something close. Outside, the wind shifted again, carrying dust across the land. Inside, the fire burned steadier. The cabin held its shape, no longer just shelter, something forming, something neither of them named. Elias reached past her, picked up the knife from the table, turned it once in his hand, then placed it back, closer to her, not taking it, leaving it, a choice. She understood. He stepped back, gave her space, but didn't leave, didn't turn away. Evening settled slowly. Light faded through the cracks in the wall. Shadows stretched across the floor. They moved around each other again, but not the same way. Something had changed. Irreversible. When night came, they sat across from each other. The same table, the same plates. But the silence was different. Not empty, not heavy. Alive. Luzia broke it first. You saved me out there. Elias shrugged slightly. You were breathing, that ain't reason enough. He looked at her then. Long. Steady, it is. She held his gaze. Didn't look away. Then, what happens now? The question stayed in the air. Unanswered, unfinished. Elias leaned back slightly in his chair. The firelight caught the edge of his face. For the first time, something close to a smile touched his mouth. Not wide, not easy, but real. We find out. Outside, the night stretched wide and endless. Inside, two people sat across a table. No promises made, no paths decided, but neither one alone anymore. And somewhere beyond the darkness, the world was already moving toward them.